Hello, everyone! Finally, the first part of episode 76 arrived to us, and we had to wait for it a bit longer than expected. But still, the episode started coming out much faster as it used to be a few months ago. So I am really glad about it. And today's episode was really filled with epic action. And of course, we saw how the Alliance and Skibidi toilets are acting together now. So in my analysis, I'm going to tell you about all the secrets and Easter eggs I managed to find in this episode that you could have definitely missed on your own, and trust me, it will be really interesting. What is the main secret of Astro toilets, and why they called Skibidi toilets traitors? Who was this mysterious toilet with a tattoo on his face, and what's the meaning behind it? And most importantly, how did Mecha Scientist Cameraman and the Camera Strider manage to get back to us? So if you want to find all the answers to these questions, then get your tea and snacks ready and prepare to watch this video to the end, not to miss anything important, because it's gonna blow your mind for sure. Let's go! And the episode starts in the middle of an epic action scene between a bunch of Skibidi toilets and Astro toilets. And we can already notice how Skibidi toilets are much more upgraded now, and they are ready to confront Astro toilets now. So if in the previous episode we saw the most miserable and unprepared Skibidi ever, who were literally pleading for mercy, which they didn't receive, of course, then at the beginning of episode 76 we can see something completely opposite. All of Skibidi that we can see on the screen are wearing some heavy armor now, so they are fully protected from all sorts of damage that Astro toilets could have possibly thrown at them. And it also became obvious to me that Skibidi realized how Astro have two major advantages in their league. And it's the quantity of their troops and the aggressiveness of their attacks. So this time, Skibidi got some really thick protective plates for themselves in case they would stumble upon a swarm of different Astro toilets who would try to destroy them on sight. And they also started spamming their own attacks really rapidly. And I believe they're doing that not only to mess up with Astro toilets, who could have not expected such a fierce repulse to them, but also to warm up their comrades and destroy all sense of fear they could have had inside them. Because if we would remember episode 75, then we'd see how miserable those Skibidi behaved. And Astro toilets have no desire to accept any survivors or hostages. So the only thing which is left for both the Alliance and Skibidi toilets is to fight until the very last moment. And this is exactly what those Skibidi are doing now. So right now they don't even try to communicate with Astro toilets in any way, and instead Skibidi are just creating their own fireworks show as they are blasting from all of their guns and rocket launchers. And I also found it really funny how they're not even screaming Skibidi Skibidi in the faces of their opponents anymore, and instead they're roaring to keep their battle spirit alive on the battlefield. And I think it was this hugely upgraded Skibidi Strider with the red lens on his face who released this roar, and based on the position of the most important gun between his legs, I can assume that the bro was just really hyped to be there. And then the camera changes its angle, and we can see the target of these Skibidi, who is this Astro obliterator. And man, he doesn't look happy at all. And to tell you honestly, I feel kind of gloated about it, considering how happy these flying freaks were in the previous episode where they destroyed so many agents of the Alliance and defenseless Skibidi toilets. So, yeah, it's really satisfying to see one of these pricks to get some real heavy blows from somebody who can actually stand up to them. Of course, Astro Obliterator tries to cover his anger with the laughter, as if he was trying to convey a message like, yeah, whatever. Sticks and stones won't hurt my bones. But I was pretty much sure that he didn't expect such a powerful fight back from Skibidi at all. And based on how weary and battered he looks like, I can say that their aggressive strategy definitely worked. Half of his body is literally on fire. And what also doesn't help him at all is this insane Skibidi kamikaze with the dark blue toilet tank, whose face literally looks like Henry Cavill's Superman character. And if you'll look closely enough, then you will notice that he also has the red bottom of his toilet, which is another reference to Superman's bodysuit colors. This reference was random as hell, but I'll take it. So he launches right at Astro from behind and gives him a shower with the green acid from his barrels, so that Astro is not able to keep up in the air any longer and crushes into the ground with an embarrassing scream. And also check out how Skibidi still weren't done with him even after he fell, and they kept blasting their lasers at him like a defenseless baby. And while seeing such an audacity, another Astro toilet appears who looks like Astro Destructor. And I remember seeing him in episode 74 for the first time. And as we can see later, he's able to talk in human language as well. So even the middle-tier Astro troops seem to be intelligent enough to speak it. So he flies up as fast as possible as if he was the busy chicken that saw someone offending her fledgling. And while he is approaching the Skibidi toilets, he yells at them, "How dare you resist, traitorous scum!" And to tell you honestly, this phrase really interested me because it looked like he was addressing the Skibidi in that moment, and he obviously called them traitors. And this is not the first time it happens, because in case you somehow forgot, pretty much the same thing was told to G-Man by Astro Detainer in episode 72, who said to him, "You know the penalty for treason, Commander. No one escapes justice." But we must keep in mind that G-Man's figure was much more complex and mysterious since the very start of Skibidi Toilet series, and we still don't know lots of things about his true nature and origin. But what about the regular Skibidi toilets? They seem to be much simpler to understand. And based on what we saw in earlier episodes when Skibidi toilets worked in collaboration with Astro toilets, it looked like initially they worked as one team and exchanged different technologies and knowledge, but then it were Astro toilets exactly that had some problem with G-Man. So in episode 60, they tried to destroy him, but it turned out to be a decoy and not original Jimmy. So they exposed themselves and fled. And from now on, they behaved as enemies to both the Alliance and Skibidi toilets. Well, to cut the story short, it initially looked like it was Astro toilets who behaved treacherous towards Skibidi toilets and not the other way around. Unless we don't know something really important about their relationship and about the reason of Astro's departure. And it seems to me that Skibidi and Astro lore goes deeper and deeper with each new episode, so I can't wait to see the other parts of it to learn more about their biggest secret. Okay, but let's not talk too much about them right now and move on. So after Astro Destructor said those words, he started blasting his own guns at this brave group of Skibidi toilets, and apparently he was so freaking mad that he's done a huge damage at them. You can see how in a matter of a literal second, Skibidi got caught on fire, and how parts of Skibidi Strider's equipment start falling apart. And then the huge explosion ends lives of those brave warriors, so press F to pay respects to those toilets. Then the POV turns around and starts running for his life with other cameramen agents. And by the way, if you're wondering who is the POV of today's episode, I'm going to reveal it to you a little bit later, so keep watching this video to the end, not to miss anything. And the first thing that I saw as the POV turned around is this weirdly looking cameraman with anti-parasite cannon in his hands. Okay, but what the hell, brother? Did you mistake which episode are you in right now, or what? Skibidi parasites are long gone and this cannon must be practically useless now. Or maybe the Alliance got so desperate at one point, so now its agents are trying all the weapons in their arsenal against Astro toilets. Well, this is just getting silly, to be honest. And by the way, what I also paid attention to is these blue flashlights in the sky that appear throughout the episode from time to time. And at first I thought that it may be the indications of Camera Spider fighting in the distance, but then it became clear to me that it was in fact just a lightning. And then as the POV kept running forward, he took a look at this hilariously looking Skibidi Strider who was just literally bloated with guns, and there is one gun which is even pointing from his mouth. Okay, but do you remember the previous Strider with the gun between his legs? Do I see the vision here, guys? Okay, well, it seems to me that Boom is literally trolling us all right now. Although it's also possible that having a gun in your mouth makes your aim a bit more precise. Who knows, guys? And above this sassy Skibidi Strider shoulders, I also noticed another flying Skibidi kamikaze. Okay, so after the POV was done glazing at this Strider and kept moving forward, he later got jump scared by this Skibidi toilet who looked literally traumatized. And his facial expression really reminded me of that one meme with the soldier experiencing war flashbacks. Even his safety helmet looked pretty similar. So this guy just stares at the POV with his eyes looking totally blank. And apparently he saw something absolutely terrible recently and cannot even get himself together. And the POV points 2 rocket launchers at him automatically but doesn't hurry up to shoot. Apparently he's already heard that Skibidi are fighting Astro toilets now in pair with the Alliance's agents too, but hasn't experienced it himself, and that's why he was still unsure of whether this Skibidi actually attacks him or not. And it also seems to me that this Skibidi was processing the same thing. After all, Skibidi toilets and the Alliance were fighting for such a freaking long time with each other so that they automatically see enemies at first sight. And by the way, this Skibidi toilet with war flashbacks looks just like the regular Guardian of the last Skibidi base. And we see similarly looking Skibidi in episode 74, while we were watching the whole thing from Elite TV Man's POV. Okay, But then thankfully this toilet finally realized where he's at. So he just turns around when he heard the sound of the upcoming threat, and unfortunately, this is the last time when we see our brother as he gets literally crashed by this Astro freak. And by the way, I'd also like to tell you now who our POV is. Based on the weapons he's holding, it's obvious that it's not the regular cameraman, but a big cameraman, as it was only them who were capable of holding such heavy weaponry. Okay, and now let's get back to this insane Astro freak that crashed our little Skibidi bro. So if you thought that he shot with a rocket at him or something like that, you would be wrong, because if we'll slow down this scene and look at it frame by frame, then we'll see that this Astro literally collides with the Skibidi at full supersonic speed using his body as a ram. And do you know who this guy reminded me of, guys? It's Glitch Toilet, who used the very similar tactics in Boom's earliest episodes. So could it be some sort of reference to this guy? And by the way, in one of my earlier videos, I suggested that the Glitch Toilet could have borrowed the technologies of Astro toilets when Skibidi still worked in cooperation with them, so that could have explained his crazy speed and unusual devices that he used. So now on the example of this Astro toilet, we can see that I was pretty close about it, because this Astro uses the identical crashing attack that Glitch Toilet also used. And although I'm still hoping to see the return of the iconic Glitch Toilet himself one day, I'll take this Astro as well, because it still can be seen as a reference to my favorite underrated Skibidi character. So after finishing off the poor Skibidi Guardian, he makes the whole circle and stops right in front of the POV with a menacing smile on his face. Then he lowers his helmet and seems to start charging. But after the POV sends 2 missiles at him, he opens his face once again, which looked pretty weird. Maybe the bro was just flexing, I don't really know here. Or maybe he was so confident in himself and his ability to take off the POV even without his helmet. But in any case, his overconfidence really ruined him, as he then experienced the same fate as the Skibidi Guardian. And by that I mean that he got literally crushed under this truck's wheels, and man, that was satisfying to see. But although it looked pretty epic at first sight, I still couldn't help but laugh at the appearance of this truck a little bit. Because what is the actual point of this construction when your major enemies right now are literal flying toilets that are able to maneuver in the air? This crushing truck seems to be more useful when Skibidi was fighting with the Alliance, but I really doubt this whole thing will have much use against the Astro toilets. Okay, but I digress now a little bit, so let's see what it was all actually about. So as it turned out, this truck was actually a part of this huge Skibidi granddad, who looks at the POV big cameraman with a satisfied smile on his face. But before the POV managed to aim his guns at him as well, this stupid cameraman with anti-parasite cannon steps forwards and shoots from it right into the Skibidi grandpa face, and this looked so freaking ridiculous. And this Skibidi himself showed it with his facial expression, which looked pretty much like, bro, are you being for real right now? And then we can see the cameraman in the orange shirt coming up outside in order to show his comrades that everything is all right. And Skibidi are indeed fighting on the same side with the Alliance right now. And I definitely haven't seen this guy anywhere before, so it must be one of the new elite cameraman agents. And then this funny group of mixed comrades goes to the next point of destination, while the POV and this stupid-ass cameraman are being left all alone here. Our brainless comrade shrugs as if nothing special just happened, and unification with Skibidi toilets happens almost every day. But then some chaotic mess occurs in the background, and as the POV turns around, we can see the whole bunch of Easter eggs all at once that were left for us by Boom. First of all, these 2 cameramen who are running in the most ridiculous way possible definitely reminded me of Lucky Cameraman from episode 56. Maybe they think that they could survive by copying Lucky Cameraman's strategy? And the cameraman in the wheelchair seems really out of place here, so maybe there is the hospital of the Alliance somewhere nearby. Otherwise, I can't really explain having this wheelchair around. And also check out this cameraman who's grabbing the toilet cistern. He certainly looks like a reference to this speaker man from episode 64, but the most mind-blowing detail was well hidden in this scene. Take a closer look at this green car from the left side. And there it is, guys. It's the freaking computer chair again, and it keeps moving on its own just like the last time. And I cannot shake this feeling that it seems like someone invisible is sitting in this chair, and that's why it's moving like that. And I swear to you guys, Boom got literally obsessed with chairs recently. Okay, and then we see the Astro toilet all these cameramen were leaving from, and the POV shoots him with one of his rocket launchers in order to attract his attention. He sends another missile at him, and at the same time the cameraman with anti-parasite cannon shoots as well. And somehow either of these things work and Astro freezes on the spot. Wait, Is it the anti-parasite weapon that somehow worked on this Astro toilet? If that's the case, then it would be just mind-blowing, actually. Then the POV slowly approaches the non-moving freak and knocks the safety helmet off his skull. So now we can see this Astro's bald head. And what the heck is this? This symbol on his forehead looks just like an iconic sign of Earthbenders from the animated series called The Last Airbender. Wait, what are Skibidi toilets turning into exactly? Are we entering the fantasy fiction era, guys? Or maybe this symbol is referring to something else too. My current guess is that this image can also be referring to the Earth as the planet which Astro toilets are aiming to conquer right now. But to tell you honestly, guys, I have an even crazier theory about this symbol, and I think I'll make a separate video dedicated to it, and Astro toilets in general. So be sure to subscribe to my channel so you won't miss it. Okay, and after that, the POV stabs the defenseless skull of this Astro toilet with the knife, and then gets the modernized cannon from him, and this weapon looks sick as hell. And in the future episodes, I'm expecting all the agents of the Alliance to get weaponized with the new guns made on the prototypes of Astro Toilet's weapons, because that would be the most logical thing for them to do. But as the POV was observing his new toy, the Half-Life sound could be heard behind him, and Astro suddenly comes back to life. And then Astro gets ready to charge at the POV, and at the very same time it happens, the POV manages to also shoot from this new cannon. So Astro gets slowed down by it, but still crashes into POV. So I can say that both opponents got literally shocked in this moment. And then Astro looks at us with the insane look on his face and whispers, "Time to die." But before the freak even manages to do anything silly to us, a powerful shot from the minigun fries him like a KFC chicken. And as the POV turns around, he sees this exact big cameraman with the blue lens who could be seen on one of the 3 leaks for today's episode. And then we see yet another iconic scene where someone is helping the POV to get up on his feet. And what seems interesting about this blue-lensed guy, though, is not only his possible relation to Titan cameraman who had this exact lens and a shield on his arm in the earliest episodes, but also the fact that this big cameraman can be this guy from the 3rd part of episode 70. It's possible that he could have been greatly upgraded during this time, although I still have lots of questions about this blue lens that he has. Does it just mean that he became a real elite agent by now? Or maybe there are deeper layers to this? Honestly, guys, I don't have a simple answer to this question for now, so if you have your own interpretations about it, then be sure to write them in the comments below. Okay, but the fight isn't over yet, as just a horde of upcoming Astro toilets shows up on the horizon. But thankfully, this blue-lensed cameraman is equipped with some crazy good stuff. So at first, he activates his shield. That indeed works like a Titan cameraman's shield from episode 65, and it absorbs all the missiles from Astro. And while he and the POV are holding their defenses, another surprise appears in this episode. A spider-like Astro comes to the scene and ruins the energy shield barrier with one powerful shot. And yeah, well, that looked decent enough. But the funny thing is that just a second after his arrival, a freaking camera spider appears behind him as well. And just compare these two together, guys. This Astro Spider looks just like a goofy parody of some original stuff, which is of course Camera Spider. And this bad boy dimply obliterates not only Astro Spider, but the rest of the freaks as well. And man, I am so happy to see Camera Spider back. Because last time we saw it appearing was in episode 72, when we saw it in action for a short period of time, and then it was badly damaged once again. And what was also interesting about that episode is that we saw the comeback of Mecha Scientist Cameraman again, who was also playing the role of POV at the time. And it seems to me that in today's episode, both of these characters got back to the series at the same time, which was just insane. And not only Camera Strider got incredibly boosted since the last time we saw it, but it is capable of holding multiple Astro toilets now, and this is crazy to me. I really loved how this machine got served justice, and I can feel that we're going to see lots of cool action scenes with Camera Spider feature really soon. And what I'm also hyped about is, of course, the character of Mecha Scientist, who seemed to operate this machine all this time. And that got me thinking. It's probably his genius mind once again that helped make Camera Spider so powerful. And it's also possible that both of them got repaired and upgraded at the same time as 2 of them were inured in episode 72. And then they didn't participate in battles for a while. And it also occurs to me that Mecha Scientist got his legs back for himself, although it seemed to me before that he still had to use his exo-cyborg suit in order to move around. And well, now it seems like he's got his classic body back, and now he's much more mobile than before. And to tell you even more, it seems like he's completely back as a scientist. And now he's got plenty of work to do. Because now, when the Alliance will have so many new Astro technologies to examine and research, he'll definitely be able to come up with some new crazy experiments or inventions. And also, let's not forget that Skibidi Army and the Alliance are fighting on the same side now, which means that they're going to exchange so many technologies with each other and create some hybrid warriors soon. So Mecha Scientist will certainly find what to do best in the current environment. But this episode still gave me lots of ideas to think about, as it ended with lots of mysteries that stayed unresolved. What was the true reason for Astro toilets to break apart from Skibidi toilets? And who was the real traitor in this situation? Will we ever see some sort of prequel about their relations? And what role will G-Man play in all of this? And speaking of G-Man, when are we going to see him again in this universe? And the most important thing is, will the chair become an official character of Skibidi toilets? I'm looking forward to new clues from Boom to find the answers to all these questions, as this is extremely interesting. And that was all for today. I really hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, hit the like button below and also be sure to write a comment below. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube and Discord channels not to miss my new interesting videos. And that was me, Iso Toilet. See ya!